Well, hello. Just a quick video today about a recent acquisition or modification I've done to my intercom system. I did a video review of a Cardo Q3 Pro about a month ago, I think, thereabouts. And during that video I even suggested I think I was going to upgrade to the Q3, which I did. And for one simple reason is that I wanted a Bluetooth connectivity, simultaneous Bluetooth connectivity between the intercom system, my phone, and my iPod, okay? So I actually have simultaneous connectivity between those two components with the intercom. So the intercom now, the Q3, Scalarider Q3, this one has the intercom, of course, which its fundamental purpose is, but it also connects to my phone and my iPod. If you have an iPhone, okay, which combines those two functions into one unit, I'm not sure if that will operate on just one connection to Bluetooth to this machine. I think that still requires two connections because those two functions for the iPhone actually, I'm led to believe, and I don't know, and I'm sure somebody at the Scala can advise you on that, but I believe those two functions use two separate Bluetooth protocols. The A2DP, which is a stereo protocol, is a protocol which is designed for music. Whereas the HRF, I believe, or H2F protocol is what is used for the headset talking feature of the telephone. And those two protocols actually each require individual connections, which would use up both connections. So, if you were thinking about using an iPhone and only using one connection to get both functions, I don't think you can. But I'm not sure. For me, I use an iPod and a BlackBerry, okay? And those take up the two connections, simultaneous connections. And the way it works is once I have this on my head, I'll listen to music via the iPhone, or the iPod, sorry. I'll listen to music from the iPod. And if somebody calls in on my telephone, which could be in my jacket or in the trunk or in the tank bag, I'll get a ringing through the earphones, and I can either speak loudly, answer, which the intercom will pick up as a call to answer, or I can press the side button and answer the phone. When I'm done, and I've tested this and it works brilliantly, when I'm done the phone call, if the other end hangs up, or if I hit the disconnect button on the side of the unit, the music will resume, okay, from where it left off. Additionally, this unit, and my Q2 Pro had this also, but this one seems to work much, much better. This unit has a built-in radio, because the catch was, as I go to a Bluetooth iPod, Bluetooth capable iPod, such as an iPod Touch, the most recent one, which I just bought, you lose the FM radio feature that you find in the small iPod Touch Nano, okay? But you don't get Bluetooth in the iPod Touch Nano, so it's kind of one of these things you're balancing. But since this FM radio works exceptionally well, actually it's great reception. I picked up as many radio stations on that as I could in my car. I have no problem there, so I can turn off the iPod and turn on the radio function of the intercom just by double-clicking what they call the IC button on the side. And the buttons are easy to find with your finger because they have different shapes and impressions to them. They're separated by a large ridge, which is actually the LED light. You feel for that ridge, and you feel forward as the forward button, back of course is the rear button. The two volume buttons sit on the rear edge of the unit. It works great. If, for example, and I've called Scala on this, I actually called them on the telephone, and they were or Cardo, I think is the name of the company that makes the Scalarider, called Cardo. They were very, very helpful and very direct and very succinct about how the Bluetooth connections work with the different lines. And here it is in a nutshell, okay, right from the horse's mouth, or I guess from I got it from the horse's mouth, but I can assure you they're very clear on it. If you buy the Q1 or the Q3, okay, because they're phasing out the Q2 with the Q3. So you either buy the Q1, the Q3, or the G9. Okay, they basically have three models, three general lines of models for motorcycle intercom systems. The Q1 is truly an intercom-only system, either rider to passenger or bike to bike or bike to road if you're on a racetrack, okay? Provided you have a clear line of sight and it's within usually about a quarter of a mile. The Q3 is designed for, once again, either an intercom system for on bike, in other words, rider to passenger, or bike to bike within, I believe it's half a mile distance, clear line of sight. That's what that's designed for. And it also brings in the audio Bluetooth functions, okay, such as the things I've already talked about. The G9, okay, also does everything the Q3 does, but it includes the ability for, first of all, for once again a longer distance connection to your next rider if it's bike to bike, but also the ability to bring in several riders simultaneously into a conversation, which the Q3 does not. Q3 is one conversation at a time. Now you can actually set up different channels, okay? So you can actually have a conversation going with your passenger, for example, and you can with a press of a few buttons, you can actually connect off, provided that you're paired with another headset. You can actually start a conversation with another individual on another bike, okay? Can't have those conversations going simultaneously, but you can have two channels available to you for autonomous communication. It works very well. The one thing the Q3 does that the G9 does not do is actually allow the music that you pipe into your headset be also piped in simultaneously to the other headset that you're paired with, which is kind of nice. So if you're two people on a bike and you have an iPod, you can both hear the iPod music. And you can actually, each headset can actually have their own phone paired to them. You can pair two phones at the same time. The G9 does not, contrary to what I said in my prior video, the G9, the top of the line one, which I don't have, I'm not going to buy, that still does not allow for a third simultaneous Bluetooth connection, okay? So it too can max out at 2. If you were in a position where you wanted to listen to your iPod, you wanted to get Bluetooth direction from your, let's say, GPS unit, navigation unit, and you wanted to have access to your phone, so you needed 3 connections, what Cardo suggests you do is you buy a GPS unit that has Bluetooth built into it and allow it to pair with your phone, and then you pair your intercom with the GPS. And the GPS will in turn prioritize communication with you about directions and phone calls, okay? Meanwhile, your Cardo will only take that as one connection, okay? And you can still have your iPod or an MP3 player kicking out Bluetooth music to you in the background, all right? So this is really everything I will need for we'll call it a infotainment system, all wound up. Actually 2 really nice features about the new Q3, which were not present on the Q2, is instead of using a permanently wired in set of speakers, it actually has a jack and speakers that have a 1/4-inch jack plug into them. So if you don't want to use the speakers and you want to use a headset, which I do, actually earbuds, it's already wired in for it, so you don't have to do any clipping like I had to do with the Q2. So that's good. Additionally, the boom microphone is removable, also by plug-in, replaceable in the kit with a wired microphone. So so you can unplug, use whichever one of the 2 microphones you want, and you have the jack for the excuse me, for the earphones or ear speakers, up to you. It also has slightly different shape and it's different bass, obviously, because of that jacking, so you cannot reuse your Q2 bass. I had to try to peel them off and replace it with the new one, and that was a challenge. But anyway, I'm all good to go then on my infotainment system. After doing a little bit of research, it turns out that Cardo actually, with the Q2 is the biggest selling motorcycle intercom system in the world. Okay, from the research that I was told. And that's primarily the only reason I bought it, simply because it's ubiquitous. I could buy it anywhere. I could buy it at my local dealer. However, I'm by no means saying it's the best. Okay, I think it's a very good system. It does everything I need it to do. It does everything I need it to do very well, actually. But there might be much better systems out there, so I don't want to limit myself to, or limit my recommendation to that particular brand. It just happens to be the one I bought and I like. In the coming weeks, I've been offered by our local BMW dealer to test drive a K1600 GT, which I'll do, and I'll post a video on that later on. Thanks so much.